Sir, when I joined the NEXT IAS, at that time there were many apprehensions, right? We're not established, so people were saying that you may waste your resources, time. Maintaining motivation, I think, sir, once you are clear in your goal, always ask why do you want to become civil servant.
This exam is not about a one-day game, जैसा कि प्रशांत सर ने भी कहा कि it's a kind of a test match. It is a kind of the marathon. Welcome to CSE 2022 Topos Talk. Friends, when we talk about the UPSC CSE exam, we talk about the perseverance. And today we have Manish Kumar Jha, who is the right example of the perseverance. He hails from the Darbhanga. He graduated from NIT Patna. He has joined the NEXT IAS Foundation Course in 2019. He secured All India rank 83 in Indian Forest Services in 2021. Then he cleared the UPSC CSE also. And then in this year exam, he has bettered his performance. Many congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, Manish, for securing rank in civil services examination.
We believe that this particular Topos Talk will be helpful for the candidate who will be going to give this mains this year. You have joined the NEXT IAS GS Foundation Course, and to be very true, we have been in touch last 4 or 5 years. So how have been, we'll just starting with this, how have been the journey with the NEXT IAS?
Sir, when I joined the NEXT IAS, at that time there were many apprehensions, right? We're not established, so people were saying that you may waste your resources, time. But then I took a decision and I joined. So I found the classes very interesting, and some of the subjects, for example, economy, geography, environment, I never read any other book. Only class notes were quite sufficient for me. So, and thereafter the test series, and then the personal guidance, especially you, Mohit sir, all along in touch with me. So it's been quite helpful all along.
मनीष, अगर हम ये बात करें कि आप दरभंगा से हो, NIT पटना से आपने ग्रेजुएशन किया 2016 में, तो पहली बार थॉट कब आया कि मुझे सिविल सर्विसेज करना है? क्योंकि जनरली होता है कि वी हैव टू गो फॉर द जॉब एंड ऑल दोस थिंग, तो पहली बार ये थॉट कब आया कि मुझे प्रिपरेशन करनी है?
Sir, in the final year of the college itself, that thing came into mind. Okay, I should prepare for the civil services. But at the last, I got placement and I joined the company. I said, okay, let us earn some money. And during those days, I saved a lot of money to finance my study here. And 1.5 years later in the company, I resigned from the company and started preparing for the civil services. I joined the NEXT IAS, and that's how I came into the cycle. So in the first attempt, I could not clear the prelims by 0.5 marks.
Okay.
But I realized the mistakes that I made, especially that revision part was missing, and then some current affair part. So thereafter, I started, preparing from the point of view of the demand of the UPSC. I focused much part on mains also, and so in the second attempt, I could clear both.
मनीष, अगर हम बात करें, जैसे आपने बताया कि पहली बार में आपका प्रीलिम्स एग्जाम क्लियर नहीं हुआ था, 0.5 से रह गया था, तो दिस ईयर आल्सो देयर विल बी मैनी कैंडिडेट एंड यू मस्ट हैव सीन कि द पैटर्न हैज़ बीन चेंज एंड ऑल दोस थिंग. सो सीसेट की सारी चीज़ें चेंज हो गई है, मतलब काफ़ी डिफिकल्ट पेपर आ गया था सीसेट का, जीएस में पैटर्न चेंज हुआ. तो अभी इस समय पे आपके दो तरीके के कैंडिडेट्स होंगे. एक वो जिनका प्रीलिम्स कहीं ना कहीं हो सकता है कि क्लियर ना हो रहा हो, तो उसके लिए आपने अपने टाइम पे क्या प्रिपरेशन किया था कि नेक्स्ट ईयर अगर मुझे क्लियर करना है, देन हाउ टू गो फॉर दिस 1 ईयर? कैसे मैनेज किया उस 1 साल को?
Sir, at that time, so I realized the importance of previous year question.
Okay.
I was not habituated of reading the questions set by the UPSC. And there is, world of difference between what we see questions in the coachings and what we see in the final UPSC exam. So I started working more on the demand by the UPSC by seeing what they are asking. And then I selected the themes, on what themes they are asking from the previous year questions. And I made a separate notebook for that.
Nice.
I would write those themes and write about that. So by that I had a list of almost 80-90 themes in the GS across all subjects, and on those part I worked a lot. I read in depth, and that's how my GS became strong enough to clear for a service.
अच्छा, और जब नेक्स्ट ईयर जब एग्जाम दिया लेट से, और जब आपने CSE क्लियर किया तो आपका प्रीलिम्स क्लियर हो रहा होगा आराम से मे बी, और जब प्रीलिम्स क्लियर हो रहा है तो उस जून से लेके अगर हम एक साइकिल लें, या दैट इज यू कैन से नॉट द जून स्पेसिफिकली क्योंकि ये तो चेंज होता रहता है, बट अगर हम ये बात करें कि आफ्टर द प्रीलिम्स एंड बिफोर द मेंस, ये जो टाइम होता है इसको आपने कैसे मैनेज किया?
Because after calculating the marks, I was completely sure that I'll clear the prelims. So I had, clear agenda that I have to now prepare for the mains. So I remember from the second day itself, I started writing the previous year questions of mains. Every day I would write 5-6 questions. Initially it would take more time, even 12 minutes, 15 minutes. And then the duration started coming down. I remember at least 1 month later, I would write those answers in 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
Okay, nice.
And when that speed came, then I would write half paper, 10 questions daily. That is how I prepared previous year questions in depth, and even made some short notes from the previous year questions asked. And then I focused much time, almost 70 to 80% on optional subject, mathematics.
Okay.
Right. So it was risky and quite a trade-off between optional and GS.
Okay, so basically you have managed the both optional and the GS, and because you have already worked hard for the mains part, so it was a bit easy in these 3 months to manage at
Yes,
least,
sir,
because
yes.
you have some crisp notes, you have to revise something. Okay, so what about the particular the things that there should be facts, there should be example, how you have collected all those things?
Sir, I would read some of the toppers' copy.
Okay.
Right. In those days, it was available on some website. So I would take a printout of that.
Okay.
And I would read their answers. I would first of all write what questions they would write, and then I would compare my answer with them, and whatever facts they would provide, I would write on a separate notebook. That is how I prepared a data sheet also.
Okay, nice.
And then when I joined the test series, so the solution of the test series had extensive coverage of the facts. So I would get the facts from that also. And editorials I would read, not consistently, but I would try reading every day.
Okay.
And from that also I would collect some of the data, examples. Newspaper is a good source to collect examples. So that's how I would make up that.
Prashant sir, current affairs.
Manish, current affairs constitute a major section of syllabus for this examination, and aspirants for current affairs depend on multiple sources like newspaper, magazine, and reports. And given the diversity of sources and vastness of syllabus of current affairs, what should be a strategy of aspirant to memorize all that information and express that information in mains examination in more organized manner?
First of all, I think the aspirants should not aspire to memorize all the information, and they should not feel that I would cover all current affairs that UPSC will ask. So they should focus on one newspaper. I would do for Hindu, and one magazine, any one magazine, right? That is easily available in the market. And also, sir, there is difference between what we read for prelims and what we read for mains from the same, magazine. So for mains, they ask broad-based questions, right? They do not go into specifics. For example, if some person has been disqualified, right? So they would not ask that fact. They would ask about the disqualification, their constitutional dimensions, any cases, Supreme Court cases. So they should prepare along those lines that are available in the magazine. They should pick up that. So what I would do, I would take out the magazine, and I would color those, only those part, and I would revise before the exam once or twice. That's how I did. And then, sir, the questions from the test series, very important, because test series provide you a lot of questions regarding that, and they provide the solutions of that also. So that is also a good source to prepare for that. And those who prepare well for the prelims, I think they have an advantage, because they know much of the information, the facts. So life becomes easy for them in the mains.
Quite informative. Very often aspirants ask about the right time of notes making. So should they start making notes of current affairs and concepts from the beginning, or after going through the issues and current affairs a few times? What's the right time according to you to make the notes?
It would depend on the individual. If somebody is able to understand the demand of the questions, then they can make notes. But especially those who just started preparing for the civil services, they should avoid doing that, because they don't know the demand, right? I said, for example, that disqualification was a part. So if a new entrant comes they would write who has been disqualified, who said what. That is not the demand of the UPSC. So the demand is the constitutional angle involved, what articles apply, and what are the Supreme Court cases about it. So they should prepare along those lines. So once they have gone through the previous year questions, then they should start making notes. And so that note should not be bulky. No need to write everything, right? Even if we read something once or twice, so somehow it remains in our
correct. Very often aspirants copy the entire book. So
that is not needed. They will not be able to revise at the end.
One more thing I would like to know on behalf of aspirants.
Sir.
Very often aspirants ask about choosing the optional. I mean, what should be the criteria to choose the optional? They are very confused which optional they should go for or which optional is good for them. So you gave this examination with mathematics as an optional and you scored good. I mean, twice and thrice you scored more than 270 marks. So what was your strategy and what is according to you the right criteria one should follow to opt the optional examination, optional paper?
Sir, I mean, one should always be clear that they have to devote at least 50% of the time for the optional. So interest is the first criteria. You should not get bored while reading your optional, or else everything will be disastrous. So I remember whenever I would feel sleepy in the late night, I would start doing maths. It was funny for me. It was kind of fun for me. So that kind of interest should be there. Also, when I chose mathematics, I took the previous year questions of mathematics and I saw how many questions am I able to solve without preparing. So 50 marks, 60 marks in both the paper I was able to solve from the college days preparation because maths was paper in mechanical. So that boosted my confidence. And also, sir, whenever I would say 10 marks I have solved, so it would feel that 10 marks is mine. It is not in GS kind of thing, if I solve 10 marks, they would give me 5 marks, 10 out of 10. So that kind of motivation was there for me. And then in that year, I remember Kanish Kataria sir has scored huge marks. So that was also a kind of motivation.
Okay, great. One more question I would like to ask, in fact, on behalf of aspirants. UPSC examination, the civil services examination is a long drawn process like a marathon. So it's quite difficult for aspirants to maintain the motivation for a long time. So what is strategy or what advice you have for aspirants who are planning to prepare for this examination? How they can maintain their motivation and how they can be very efficient in their journey?
Maintaining motivation, I think, sir, once you are clear in your goal, always ask why do you want to become civil servant. I mean, I had good job in corporate. I left because I had something, some reason to prepare. So that reason was something which kept me motivated. Secondly, sir, one should have a good company of friends who are also, I mean, that kind of motivated guys who are preparing. And seniors also help a lot. And they show you the path. Okay, look, I have failed twice, thrice, and still I am giving. So that kind of, and also, sir, when you see that there are a number of toppers who clear in 5th attempt, 6th attempt, so they should take a leaf out of their book. That's how you can remain motivated. And the second part of the question, sir, could you please repeat?
How they should keep themselves motivated and how they should be efficient in this.
Efficient, right.
Efficient means within a limited time covering entire syllabus in a very productive manner.
So as far as that second part of the question is concerned, that how you remain efficient, I mean, once you fail, you should look for areas which you have not worked upon. And in the next attempt, you work on those areas. For example, once I didn't clear the prelims, I looked, why did I fail? So I saw I did not focus much on the previous year questions. I could not understand the demand. And secondly, the current affair part was lacking. I didn't read anything at all. And thirdly, also revision part was missing, especially in topics like economy. One should be thorough. You cannot afford making mistakes in polity, economy, modern history, because these are sure short questions. Everybody should, make it correct. So I realized those things, and I started working on that. So that's how we'll not waste our time in other areas. Rather, we'll be focusing through bullseye on the target.
Thank you, Manish, for sharing such valuable information. I think our aspirants will find this information very valuable in their journey.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
So Manish, मेंस के अलावा इंटरव्यू में कैसा आपका मतलब वहाँ पे इंटरव्यू कैसा रहा, क्या एक्सपीरियंस रहा आपका?
सर मेरे तीनों इंटरव्यू में मार्क्स मेरे एक्सपेक्टेशन से अच्छे रहे. Especially I remember in the forest service, my board was 24, sir.
Okay.
So when I came out, everybody would say, and it lasted hardly 15 minutes.
अच्छा.
So everybody say you are doomed. Be prepared for 130 marks. But I got 196.
Wow.
So it was quite surprising for me. Then when I looked back and I say, how did I get it? So basically I was never ashamed of saying sorry.
Okay.
Even still, I remember some questions, some facts he asked. What is the budget of, this year Environment Ministry? I said, sir, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of it. You didn't read? I said, yes, sir, I didn't read. I'll check. So thrice or four chairman's questions, thrice I said, sorry, sir.
Okay.
So, everybody would say it reflected very badly, but it didn't.
No,
so be honest in the interview room. And also in the back end, we should
Correct.
be prepared.
Correct.
It boosts our confidence.
Honesty is the key, basically, and it's better to say sorry rather than trying to fool them.
Exactly, sir.
Because they have the 150 years of the experience together.
So this year also one funny incident happened.
Yeah.
So Satpati ma'am was chairwoman. So she asked, tell me the distance between Darbhanga and Bhagalpur.
Okay.
So I said, madam, I'm not aware. Can you guess? I said, madam, I cannot even guess. I have never been to Bhagalpur. So I said, madam, I'm not aware of. She said, you are in the forest service and you don't know the recent amendments.
Correct.
I said, yes, madam, I'm not aware of it. I'll check. So when I came out of the interview board, I would say she has spoiled my entire interview. The fact is, FCA has been amended.
Correct.
So I think my honesty paid. I should have bluffed. Yeah, this means so and so, but I didn't do that. So and 187 I got. So it's fair marks.
It's very good marks basically. So basically for the interview, अच्छा जैसे that is the real interview, but you also practice for the mock interviews. You go and take the mock interviews. Preparation आप करते हो. Mock interviews का कितना support रहा या कितना आपको फायदा हुआ mock interviews से?
Right, sir. Some of the mock interviews were really good. For example, at NEXT IAS I gave one, and in forest they asked me a lot of questions. So 2 questions got repeated there also. So that experience, and then mocks boost your confidence. The way you sit here, and the confidence that you saw in the mock, it reflects there also. And thirdly, before giving mock, we prepare a lot because we have that fear that my video will be recorded. Somebody may put it on the YouTube. So we prepare that it should not become meme. So because of that fear, we read also. So it is a preparation also. But for me, what worked well was peer mocks. I had good company of friends.
Nice.
So individually, we'd call on WhatsApp and we take mock of each other. And by that, we prepare DAF.
Okay. So that helped basically.
Really, sir.
हाँ, सबसे ज़्यादा मतलब basically जो कुछ mocks हैं उन्होंने help किया. अगर मैं summarize करूँ इस बात को, और इसके अलावा आपके जो peer mocks थे basically जो friends के साथ में आपने discuss किए, topic को discuss
that
किया.
I do daily basis.
हाँ. So उससे एक idea लगने लग जाता है कि क्या present करना है, क्या present नहीं करना है.
Right.
That's good. Graduation degree from the mechanical engineering. Yes. Then you have chosen the mathematics optional.
Sir.
Okay. What is the motivation behind this? Why mathematics optional? Why not mechanical engineering itself?
My pointer was very fair, sir. So I would have taken mechanical. But my experience in the college was bad with respect to mechanical. I would write everything correctly and yet I would get less marks. Only because my faculty would say that your handwriting is not that pretty, so marks is less. So it was a bad decision from that perspective. I didn't know that UPSC do not do like that.
Obviously.
And secondly was theory part. In mechanical there is theory, so I thought there is a scope of cutting off marks in the mains.
Okay.
So and then mathematics I found interesting. I had interest in college also. I scored 10 out of 10 pointer in all semesters for maths was a paper. So that was a motivation kind of thing.
What is the role of the mentors? Is there any role of the mentors? Is there the guidance? कितना matter करता है? क्या चीजें हैं? ये सब चीजें.
Sir, if you read the syllabus provided by the UPSC, it is everything. So it is kind of ocean. So what to read? There is source available, of course, but from that source, what to read? I remember when I started preparing through self-study. So I started with the ancient, and I would make notes who married whom, how many sons of whom. So that kind of journey started.
Correct.
So this can happen with anybody.
Definitely.
And if that would have been the approach, I would never have been able to make my name in the list. So mentors help you avoid those things. Also, sir, there are two things. One, you learn from the mistakes of others.
Correct.
And second, you make mistake and learn. So first is always advisable. So mentors are someone who will tell you their experience. Ki, this you should avoid this, you should avoid that. So they make you hit the bullseye. So, and also, sir, they motivate you. I mean, for example, when I could not clear prelims, I was kind of demotivated. Ki, what happened? There is no guarantee next year I will make it into the list. But then I would talk my friends, my seniors and mentors. So they would say, no, you have potential, you are doing good. This is only first attempt, you should give more. So definitely they have a greater role to play.
तो नेक्स्ट आईएएस के जीएस फाउंडेशन कोर्स में एक स्कोप है वीकली टेस्ट का. किस तरीके का, मतलब ये जो डेली आपका जो वीकली बेसिस पे आंसर राइटिंग होती थी या जो आपका प्रैक्टिस होता था, इसने किस तरीके से आपको सपोर्ट किया भी कि नहीं किया? आपको क्या, मतलब क्या भी पॉइंट है इस पे?
Sir, yeah, it did. I mean, it helped a lot. For example, those who started writing mains immediately after prelims, they had no idea what to write.
Correct.
And we had this idea from the first day, from the first week itself. And yes, I made a lot of mistakes. Initially, I would not write things that I should write in the paper. So when I was able to write mains, I had that, that thing in mind that I should not do this, I should not write that. And the structuring part, that introduction, body, conclusion, that I learned in that. And also, sir, through in weekly test, we were also given the solutions.
Definitely.
And so a number of questions were prepared by that. I started making notes of the data, separate data book from that day itself.
Okay, nice.
So I had a huge repository of that data also.
Nice. So दोस्तों, ये मनीष थे. मनीष ने लगातार एग्ज़ाम क्वालिफाई किया है और हम ये आशा भी करते हैं, बीइंग एज इन हिज टीचर ऑल्सो, आई विल बी praying that he will be getting much better rank next year and will be again get back to the thing, will be again coming to the topper stock. तो आशा करते हैं होपफुली ये आपका जो टॉपर स्टॉक है इसने आपको हेल्प किया होगा. बाकी एक लाइन मैं हमेशा तैयारी करने वालों से बोलता भी हूँ और मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि ये सब चीज़ें आपके दिमाग में रहें, बिकॉज दिस एग्जाम इज़ नॉट अबाउट अ वन डे गेम. जैसा कि प्रशांत सर ने भी कहा कि इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ अ टेस्ट मैच, इट इज़ अ काइंड ऑफ द मैराथन. आई विल एंड दिस सेशन विद दिस टू लाइन दैट इज़ वेरी क्लोज टू मी. मंजिलें उन्हीं को मिलती हैं जिनके सपनों में जान होती है, पंखों से कुछ नहीं होता, हौसलों से उड़ान होती है. और आज हम उड़ान देख रहे हैं और ये उड़ान अभी और भी बाकी है. ऑल द बेस्ट.
थैंक यू सर.
मनीष.
ऑल द बेस्ट मनीष.
थैंक यू सर.